Hi everyone, my name is Jarissa. I'm a hypnotist, and today I'm going to be telling you about a technique that if you are not including this in your self-hypnosis practice as you shift your belief systems and you're moving out of old identities into new ones to live whatever life that you want, then you are just missing out. Like if you're not using this technique, what the fuck are you doing? This is a technique that I use with my clients, and it's something that I use with myself. So whenever I was shifting out of my old mother wounds as I was moving through my pattern with emotionally unavailable men, this is a technique that just came naturally to me because I was already using it with clients. I had learned about this in some hypnosis training that I had done. And I was like, what would happen if I use this for myself? And so as I use this for myself, I noticed that I would naturally fall into regressions. And so if you don't know what a regression is, basically it's you going back into an older version of yourself. And this version of yourself, they have their own feelings and their own memories and their own ways of being. I like to think of them as a subconscious program. So when I think of like inner child, I don't think of, oh, this is a person that lives inside of me. For me, this is a subconscious program that is at that developmental age in the way that they think and the way that they emotionally react to the world around them. And as I was using this technique, I noticed that I would regress into these older subconscious parts of myself. And I was able to make shifts because I was able to feel my feelings or tap into my emotions, if that makes sense. When people think about tapping into their emotions, oh, how do I feel? It really comes down to you using your imagination and being able to put yourself into other points of view. Like this is the technique itself, is putting yourself into other points of view. Do you have the ability to put yourself into first person, second person, and third person? So first person meaning I am here in my body, I can look around me, I'm looking into my camera right now. I know that I am in first person, but I know that when I look at you, I'm in second person. This would look like in your subconscious work is like you were talking to yourself. You were seeing them in front of you in the mirror. You were having a conversation back and forth. So I have I and there is you. And then we have them, they. And they is very important whenever you have feelings or emotions that maybe you're not quite ready to fully step into, but you need to acknowledge them. And I was using this technique with a client the other day, and I noticed like just how helpful it was for her to be able to put herself into stories within herself. And she was naturally a writer already. She does it for fun. And so I was like, oh, then you are going to be a natural at hypnosis because all hypnosis is the ability to put yourself into different perspectives using your imagination. And so if you can literally imagine yourself as a character as you're writing them, you're living their life, you're literally writing their story, living their story with a pen in your hand, then you can do it for your subconscious mind. Well, considering I'm creating this video right off the top of my head, I'm sure that I will have more points come up that I will make in other videos. But for right now, I want to hone in on just the points of view. And so if you're always just living in first person, I, me, and you're not putting yourself into other perspectives, then it's no wonder that you stay stuck. Because whenever you put yourself into other perspectives, that shifts your emotional state. And your emotional state is what you need to shift if you're shifting your belief systems or the experiences and how you remember them in your past. And the two states that you want to make sure that you are really honing in on is your first person and your third person. And so when you notice that version of yourself over there, then it's time to step into that version of yourself whenever you feel comfortable and ready doing so. And you might be asking, well, what happens if I just step into this version and then I can't come out? We go in and out of versions of ourselves all the time. All right. So we need to get to a point where we are not scared of ourselves, because you can either keep operating out of your subconscious programs blindly, just hoping for the best, or you could take control and actually use your imagination to recreate the stories that you are telling yourself. But to do this, we have to be able to put ourselves in other people's shoes or other characters' shoes, because that's all your inner child is another character. When you're doing this work, you're going to notice that there are some characters within yourself, which are just subconscious programs, that are going to feel like I, but also feel like them. So the other nuance to this is that you have to be able to hold multiple perspectives at once. And honestly, I think that's a lot of what's wrong with the world today, is that people do not come out of just I and me, this very ego-centered self. If we learn to put ourselves into other people's shoes, then we're able to see from their perspective, be a little bit more empathetic, be able to reconsider our own perspective of the world as we're taking that other person into consideration. And sometimes that other person is us. And so we're going to learn how to be first person and third person at the same time. And when you're able to go back and forth, so I am I, they are they, and then I can step into they, and now I can see myself as them, but now I'm an I. Hopefully that makes sense. An example of this is your present day self. I'm 31 years old. I'm a hypnotist. I'm engaged. I have my two cats. I'm in my physical world. But if I lean into the right space, I can be 7-year-old Jarissa again. I could imagine 7-year-old Jarissa over there. And if I have never done any subconscious work whatsoever, I'm going to be noticing that when I think about that time in my life, I'm going to be having certain people come to mind, certain places, certain ideas, certain feelings are going to come up as I imagine those spaces. And to resolve these spaces, if I were to do subconscious work, I would need to put myself into 7-year-old experience without judging it, without trying to get it right in order to resolve it, because she needs someone to hold space. And if you're going to resolve old belief systems, you have to hold space for yourself, which means you are literally holding that character in your heart space and in your imagination, and you are just letting them act out as though they are in a movie. It's literally is just like that. And so you might be wondering, what does this process even look like? How do I get it right? The honest truth is that you literally just make it up. When I was working with my inner child, I don't know if half the shit that I was imagining was real, but it doesn't matter because that was the story that my brain held on to. So instead of trying to find the right story of the actual events that had happened, I went off of the story that my mind was telling itself and shifting the details so I could shift its perspective. And as I did that, it was very easy to shift those old emotional states that were keeping me stuck in my financial life, in my love life, in just my self concept. But then it gets even trippier because I am I, they are they. I can step into they, but then I see you, right? And so I would step into my 7-year-old self, but then I could imagine my present day self there. And whenever you're doing self-love work and you come from a background of emotional neglect where it feels like nobody cares about you, you get to be in charge in this moment of somebody seeing you and understanding you, spending time with you, really taking their time with you. And this is really important whenever you're shifting those belief systems that have other people involved, is because you're like, well, I'm never going to shift their perspective. And so what do I do? Well, you get to be the character in your own story in this moment. And so if somebody in your life was not stepping up, especially in childhood, then you get to be the one to step up. But that depends on whether or not you are able to shift your point of view. So can you be first person, second person, and third person, specifically I and they? Can you step into they, and then you can see them over there? If you can put this into practice when you perform self-hypnosis, I'm just saying, like, your imagination is going to open up so many doors for you because you are going to have the ability to put yourself into the identity of the person that you were trying to be. And so in this moment for me, I just got engaged. I am still legally Jerissa Johnson, but here pretty soon, I'm going to be Jerissa Davenport. I spent a long time really hating my name, Jerissa Johnson. And it's not until recently where I did enough subconscious work where I feel pretty comfortable in my name, Jerissa Johnson. But as I'm stepping into this new identity of Jerissa Davenport here pretty soon, I'm like, who is Jerissa Davenport? Who do I want to be? If I could make up a character and she is the best version of myself because I know that I'm making an amazing decision to say yes to this person that loves and respects me, what is their personality? What does it mean to be Jerissa Davenport? And so here I am at 31 years old as Jerissa Johnson. And in my mind's eye, I can see Jerissa Davenport over there. She's a wife, she's a mother, she is confident, and she is feeling safe in her life. And I can fully imagine her over there. But as I'm noticing her over there, I can put myself into her shoes, and now I am Jerissa Davenport. And I can feel myself standing a little taller. There are a lot of ideas that I don't really care about as much. And I notice that I think about the future a lot more. It's easier to hold the future. This has been something that's been really coming up for me in my own subconscious work, is the ability to think bigger in terms of, can I see weeks in advance, months in advance, years in advance? Because as someone that has lived in survival mode for so long, it's really hard to come out of that shell of just being here in the present moment, because you're like, why would I think too far out whenever I'm unsure about my survival here in the present moment, financially and mentally and emotionally? And as I'm coming out of that, I'm noticing, oh, Jerissa Davenport doesn't have this problem. Now, it doesn't matter if this is real or not. This is who I imagine myself to be. And so as I'm about to step into this new identity, as I'm legally about to sign my name over, and I get to decide who I want to be through my ability to shift perspectives through point of view. So I can be Mrs. Davenport, but I can also be Jerissa Johnson. I can step into Mrs. Davenport, and I can look back over at Jerissa Johnson and do whatever closing, healing work that I need for myself, any subconscious programs that I can use to upgrade, as I'm already standing in the most upgraded version of myself in the moment as Mrs. Davenport. And I can say, what does she need? And I'm going to continue to do this over my life because, well, I'm only 31 years old. My evolution is only going to continue. And there will be other versions of myself that I step into as I continue to live my life. But to make this transition easier, I step into different perspectives, therefore different points of view. Anyway, that's all that I have for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.